All right. What's going on, guys? It's Chance. Um, I'm gonna start recording more because there's such thing as recording too much, writing too much, trying to push yourself to do things when you're uninspired too much. But then there's also like, okay, I'm just being lazy. Like, I said I wanted to do YouTube, yet here I am, and I'm not even really that focused. Um, I'm not gonna like. This isn't that serious. This isn't like I don't want this as a career or anything. Um, but I do want to kind of continue to put myself out there more. And eventually I'll get to a point where I'm not anxious anymore. I still get anxious sometimes. And I used to say that my anxiety disappeared when I when depression kicked in more. In reality, what it did was it started to favor, like, my depression favored towards my anxiety. When I was in depression, which I would say I'm not depressed these days much anymore, but when I was in depression a lot in 2017 and 18, I think I obviously had, I mean, I'm diagnosed both depression and anxiety, but the anxiety would actually increase like the depression level. It makes me so much more depressed because when you're depressed, the worst thing you can do is sit there, not socialize, and be in your head all day. And that's what my anxiety made me do. So it doubled the, it just made it not, there's no statistical answer for it, but it's clearly obvious that that's not a healthy habit. Nowadays, I there are some days where I spend like more than 6 hours alone. Like I'll spend the whole day alone, and that's good. But also, I make sure to balance it. Like now, about 5 out of 7 days of the week, 6 out of 7 days of the week, I'm pretty much socializing, going out there, pushing myself, whether or not I want to. Um, and the reason being is if I didn't do things I didn't want to do, like if I just did whatever was comfortable to me, I wouldn't be on NoFap. I wouldn't be trying to change my diet, which is still that's a huge one that I'm working on. What it is with my diet that bothers me um, is I have an internal, like, it's a habit for me to have these unhealthy things because when I was a kid, this is a reason. Anything else towards it would just me being an excuse. But this is one good reason as to why I was raised. My parents, my stepmother, my aunt, my uncle, all these people I grew up with, like all the adults I grew up around. Let's say from a very very young age, I was drinking coffee and soda, and I'm talking like 6, 7 years old. I remember very vividly, like clearly drinking, you know, these caffeinated products. A lot of secondhand smoke, being around that, being exposed to a lot of drug and alcohol addiction, um, and it wasn't like it was so bad. I'm not gonna say that my life was has been so harsh, that my childhood was so bad, because it wasn't. I actually had quite a lot of luxuries that a lot of kids don't have. Sometimes we were pretty poor, but other times, my stepmother and my father that I would stay with pretty frequently on the weekends and on holidays, they had money. They were comfortably living, and I comfortably lived there. It wasn't a struggle. Now, when I was with my mother, we struggled a lot. She was sick and she couldn't work, and so this is going to sound almost bad, but I did develop a poor mindset, and what that means is you hear some entrepreneurs talk about it. A poor mindset is when you're very content and you don't want the luxury of having a nice home, a nice car. You set yourself on average and you're okay with it. Oh, I have a job. I rent a house, and I rent a car, or even if you own a house and a car, bam, you're content. You have a career, a house, and a car, and people think I have those things. Let me just focus on fun and friends, and that's great to an extent. That's okay to start with, but eventually you're going to want to change again. You're going to want to start making changes again. You're going to want to switch your career. There's nothing wrong with going to school for different careers, or even working in a different career workplace. Trying a job you've never tried before. That's something I had to learn when I was out on my own, like really struggling. And I've never lived on my own. I'm not going to exaggerate that struggle either. I always lived with someone, and sometimes I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do. I wasn't manning up. I was bumming. I wasn't attempting to better my situation. I chose negative vices such as like pills and alcohol, almost to it was a way to ignore the problem. And the problem wasn't me. I developed lazy, extremely lazy habits. There were some days where I would wake up, shower, get dressed, but the only thing I did was go to my room and stay in my room all day. And this is like late high school, right after I graduated. I graduated, and for about 2 to 3 months, my aunt let me stay with her without any pressure for a job or anything. And to be fair, that was a good and a bad thing. I got to enjoy the freedom of being an adult for a couple months before having to really work and earn these things. But it was way more of a negative thing because then I got so used to just getting things from other people and never ever going and getting my own. And still to this day, I'm in a free program. I'm not getting my own here. We get everything free. There's going to be a point in time where I'll make a leap. And I would say I'm almost ready for that leap now, but I am going to finish what I'm in the middle of. I finish things now. But when that time comes, I'm not going to rely on anyone else. That's basically that's when you're an adult. To me, you're an adult when you can rely on yourself completely. You don't have any help, and you make it through no matter how shitty it gets. Now, help on occasion is fine. I'm not gonna say, oh, you're not an adult if you get any sort of help. I'm saying if you're an adult, if you rely on help only when absolutely necessary and you completely use out your options. So, a lot of adults, ages 18 and up, aren't adults, and we all know those people. I'm still to this day. I'm kind of one of those people. Every weekend I get picked up. Someone else drives their car to pick me up. If I want to go anywhere, someone else, like if I want to hang out with a friend, they have to come get me with their car. I don't have these things. I totally pushed off my life. And I'm going to jump into NoFap now. How this all correlates to NoFap for me personally, when I wasn't on NoFap, when I wasn't even attempting NoFap, because I'm not going to say I'm on NoFap, because I'm not on a good streak. But I get week or two here. But what it is, when I wasn't even attempting and when I was like masturbating every day, it really, really killed any motivation or drive or energy I had. I remember it was like an instant switch. We all know that switch when you're done and you look at your screen and you cannot believe what you were just watching. It looks disgusting. It doesn't have any appeal anymore because you're realizing, oh, wow, that was a waste of my time and energy. And then you don't feel, you feel off. You're not quite as energetic. Your mind, your brain's not working as fast as it was. You're not really thinking all that. It's pretty foggy throughout the day. This is what caffeine does as well. Caffeine gives you a real quick kick, kind of like pornography and masturbation. When you're doing it, in the moment when you're doing these things, wow, this is dope. Dopamine, literally. This is amazing. I feel pleasure from this, and you get excited and you're doing these things. Same with drugs and alcohol and caffeine. Caffeine is the most common, pretty much, drug on the planet. I'm guessing. I'm gonna assume it's one of the most common drugs on the planet, if not the most. And it is a drug. People like to deny that. Not deny that it's a drug necessarily, but deny that it's a problem. Anything that you don't need in terms of diet. If you're eating a bunch of extra things, if you're drinking a bunch of extra things, if you don't need these things and you're just intaking, it's a problem. So I'm going to go ahead and go into the final topic on this video, and I'm going to bring it back around to what I was talking about a video or two ago, and it's about the social environment. When you are trying to change yourself, you'll notice that you're not going to want to hang around the same people anymore. You'll notice that you hang out with like-minded people, and that they don't like it when you're changing. Now, not all of them, but you're going to have some people who see you changing, and they're going to treat you differently because in a sense they kind of feel insecure or maybe even attacked, or maybe like they're not going to be able to relate to you if you make this major life change. So much of our social interactions, mostly all of them, are based on hobbies and interests and career, right? Like those are the main ones. So if you're changing your career path, people in your workplace are probably going to kind of be questioning towards it. Like, are you sure? Is this going to work? And not always. This is just I'm talking about the negative. It's social. It's like social automation. We automatically do these things. We instinctively do it. We don't, because change for us is always weird and it's always a little difficult. I feel like to humans are subject to staying the same, especially when they're not taking the time to self-evaluate. I self-evaluate every day now, even if it's quickly. At the end of the day, I'm like, could have done something different there. Could have said something different. So today, I'm going to go into a quick story about today, and then I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the video. So today, I had a social interaction in my trade, office administration, and we're all doing office work, whatever. And I hear this girl talking and telling a story, and it's about her ex-boyfriend. They just broke up. Something silly, drama, whatever. But I just simply started listening. And what I did was I kind of just sat next to her. Like I moved seats. I was sitting at the other table, and I moved to her table and sat next to her and just started listening. Now, some depending on who you are, that's either going to be a good or a bad thing. For me, it does, like, I wouldn't, if I'm telling a story and someone else jumps in and listens, I don't think much of it. But this girl thought differently, and so I had a challenge. I did well. She basically said, "What are you doing? That's weird. Why are you randomly listening to me?" And I just completely, I really didn't respond. I said, "Oh, I'll go ahead and move back," and I moved seats. That's me trying to be stoic because the old me wouldn't have taken that well. I still had feelings towards it. In the moment, I was a little like hurt in a sense of like, wow, I thought that me and this girl were kind of cool or whatever. Like we talked before or whatever. I thought we were kind of like like acquaintances or whatever. But anyone that treats you with a level of disrespect, even if it's minor, you can't let people get away with minor disrespect or just being rude or perhaps being a little arrogant. You can't let it happen because that little bit that you let them get away with is going to develop into something worse and worse and worse until it turns into just blatant disrespect. Because I wouldn't say what she did was disrespectful. I understood her point, though she didn't communicate it very well. Uh, that's just how that is. So to wrap it up, just think about the people that are talking negative to you. Think about the bad. Think about it a lot, and think about the good a lot. Balance your thoughts, balance your energy, and make sure that at the end of the day, when you're self-evaluating, if you're going to self-evaluate, you look at what the negative experience was, the negative moments. You think about what you did or how you could have pertained to it. Sometimes it's out of your control. If you had any part in it of it being negative, evaluate it, try to change. That's it, guys. That's all I got. Just stay positive, stay motivated, and I'll be back. I don't have a consistent recording schedule, so that's it, y'all. Thanks for watching.